Shouldn't one be alive to ache this much? Ava wonders as she lay awake at night. Normally the consciousness comes and goes, giving her enough sleep time to not go insane in the hours of the long dark. But today something is broken in her head and she's present, sharp. It's bad. In the lonely silence, the extraction void becomes unignorable, and it pushes her off the bed and onto her feet, as if changing the position from horizontal to vertical could make something move and feel it. She paces around her room trying to think about something, but nothing comes. There is just her. The door handle creaks as Ava turns it. She walks through the hallway, passing by rooms of other patients. Few of them are truly asleep, she's certain of that. She heads straight for the stairway and then up and again, another floor. There, if she stops, she can begin to hear the hum of the laboratory. She wonders if they have an alarm there, but she doubts it. It's a facility for people who want to get help and know how to trust the doctors to deliver them. Ava is the outlier. She will be the reason for tightened security in the future. But the lab is of no interest to her. She doesn't want to destroy anything. She wants to heal. The room's number is 8. She stands under this door for a moment, tracing the digit with her finger. Infinity. Indeed, it's how this process feels to her. Looped, trapped, unable to complete. She walks in. Nobody bothers to lock this door either. Ava is more grateful for this misplaced trust than anything. The glass wall begins somewhere at the height of her hips. Below, the wall is solid, made of thick stone covered in white wallpaper. She taps the stone first, and even she can barely hear the thump, much less the woman sleeping on the other side of the glass. There is a door to that room as well, but Ava doesn't know which corridor leads there. Perhaps it goes to the roof, maybe to the basement. It would be a fool's errand to try and find it. And if she did, not saying she truly considered it, the thought of entering the wrong room behind the glass terrified her. A breach of privacy she'd never wish to commit. Room number 8 was the only room that existed to her. She hits the glass wall once, twice, and then she, on the other side, stares. "How do you sleep?" Ava asks her, but the sound only goes one way. It's all right, she doesn't ask to get an answer. The lamps are out. They are connected to an automated system Ava cannot reach. She watches the woman sit up in semi-darkness, lit only by a scarce glow of a nightlight perked on the back wall. Rise. This time Ava's hand bounces off the glass as if the blow is heavier. "How do you sleep?" she shouts. The soundproof walls drown her voice, keeping the facility staff oblivious to her break-in. She hits the wall again, and once more, harder each time. And when she screams, "I hate you," she isn't sure if she's yelling at the woman or at the glass separating them. Something's growing inside her now, feeling the void that kept her awake. Is it fury or excitement? She doesn't know, but it gives her strength and energy she forgot she could have. She joins her first hand with the other and attacks the glass with a barrage of blows, which first start like slaps in a spat between two people who don't know how to fight, but then turn into something much slower and more deliberate. 1. Pause. 2. Pause. Ava steps back and gains momentum. She sets her crutch aside. It doesn't cross her mind to use it for the purpose. The fury blinds her. She throws herself at the glass, and a crack appears on the smooth surface. Pain shoots through her damaged spine, and she welcomes it as if it was a confirmation of the blow's promised power. The light of the night lamp paints the sharp edges of the new crack in sparkling blue, and Ava sees red. She zeroes in on the weak spot and begins to attack it with a new barrage of blows. The cracks grow, light spills over them, now joining blood in painting the scene into colors. And then it gives. The glass shatters, and Ava's arms punch through the window. She brings them back and smashes again, creating a hole big enough for her to crawl through. She climbs on the edge of the stone wall and slips on the bloodied surface. She finds her balance quickly as her feet touch the floor on the other side. The woman with the moon mark on her cheek stands in the middle of the room, the same spot she always takes as she readies herself for the torture sessions. For the first time, their eyes meet. Ava takes a step forward, but she stumbles. Her leg can't hold her weight. Another jolt of pain rockets up her spine, and she braces for the fall, when a hand grabs her shoulder and keeps her standing. The woman is in her reach. Ava grabs her and pushes her to the ground. She falls on top of her and begins to strike. Finally, she feels the pain she gives her. Finally, the blows come from her. She never needed the screams, nor the intricate torture methods. There was no finesse in her darkest desires, no subtlety in her pain. The variety, the creative sources of punishment, none of the sublime torment brought her the catharsis she yearned for. Because even though she was holding the lever, none of it felt like it was her doing. This was it. When she could feel the warmth radiating from the woman's body, hear the beating of her heart, touch her skin. The next blow turns the woman's head to the side. The lamplight falls on her cheek, lighting the birthmark. Ava stops. She looks at her body, bloodied by the glass cuts, and she takes out one shot that lodged itself in her forearm. She brings it to the woman's face, and it's supposed to be the final act, the moment she craved for 6 years. Yet as the sharp surface meets the cheek, Ava doesn't push the edge in. With her other hand, she turns the woman's face to see it whole again. The bruises are beginning to swell, but they're not too big yet. She still looks like herself. And Ava can't take her eyes away. "I miss you," she whispers. "So much." The woman reaches up and begins to slowly remove the glass shards lodged in Ava's arms. One by one, and though each pull brings sharp pain, relief follows. Ava drags herself off of her and falls on the concrete floor, seeking solace in the chill of the surface as her skin feels on fire. Rock-a-bye baby on the treetops. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. The woman begins to sing the old lullaby. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall, and down will come baby, cradle and all. There was never a song Ava cherished more. It was one that her mother sang to her each night before bed. The last time she'd heard it was on the night Mom succumbed to her illness, 23 years ago. She always wanted to sing it to Benny, but she could not bring herself to give him more than a quiet hum. If they had more time, if only they had more time, perhaps the old loss would give way to new joy. Perhaps. She'll never know. "Are you ready to go?" she asked the other. I think I am. The doctor squeezes Ava's shoulder before she enters the chamber at the back of the lab. He helps her walk today. The painkillers are not strong enough to make the crutch the only support she needs. But she refuses to take more. Not today. She stops for a moment and tightens her grip on the papers in her hand. She looks at the man, takes a deep breath, then hands him the unwritten letter and the newspapers. Her eyes skim over the follow-up article. Driven insane by guilt, 5-year-old Benny's mother jumped out of the same window. She survived, but she doesn't read more. For the first time, she looks away and turns to the infusion chamber entrance. You were wrong, but just a bit, she says to the doctor and smiles. Thank you for everything. He can't say much to that. It goes against the protocol. But he reciprocates the smile. He gestures forward and Ava steps in. There's a new keyring on the doctor's desk already. The crossroads sign directs Ava west, and 15 minutes later she can see the train stop looming in the distance. There is no pain that could stop her from speeding up now. The crutch grinds the sand underneath her. Ava allows herself a grunt every other step. She wonders briefly if she'd walked at all without the complimentary physical therapy she received at the center. She survived, but according to the first responders, her injuries will most likely leave her on the wheelchair for the rest of her life. The train arrives soon enough, and it's just a few stops until Ava reaches her destination. The conductor helps her step off the train and sends her off with a warm word. Her house isn't far from the station. Noah's car is gone from the driveway. These are his work hours, and she requested he isn't notified of her release. He loves surprises, and this is one he could not expect. She finds the key in the butt of a garden gnome and lets herself into the house. Not a thing has changed. She's mildly horrified when she sees how literally the curtains hanging on the windows by the exit door were the same bend she left on them as she rushed the ironing 6 years ago. Only the thick layer of dust on them is new. Before she left the facility today, the doctor insisted he'd call Noah and have him pick her up. The nature of the treatment made it impossible for them to speak once Ava had been admitted, but on the 1st of each month, Noah called the doctors without fault to ask if they knew yet when he could take his wife home. She turns to look at the staircase. Sooner or later she has to go there. She grabs the railing with her free hand. The single piece of paper she still holds on to rustles as she presses it to the wood. It's 2 flights of stairs to the attic. It takes her a good several minutes to climb there, and she needs to take a breath after she's done. But then she goes towards it. To the window. Still there, as firm as on the day the house was built. Ava leans the crutch on the wall and reaches for the handles. This requires another deep breath. She'd opened this window hundreds of times in her mind, but it's different when she feels it in her hands right now. But it's the final step. She's not backing away now. Creak. The handles turn. She pulls them towards herself and opens the window fully. A fresh breeze enters the stuffy room. She braces herself on the frames, and if they fall off, good riddance. But they are way too sturdy for that, it seems, as they hold her weight just fine and let her throw her legs over the windowsill. The frame is uncomfortable, digging into Ava's thighs. Dismantle it. Brick the thing over. Soon. She unfolds the piece of paper. The ink has nearly faded into non-existence by now, but the page could be blank and Ava would still be able to read it. It says, "Dear Ava, I forgive you. Please find your way home. Yours forever, Noah."